The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
We have two of our talented users, Scott and Elena, from Forum 5 Architects, based in USA, specializing in architectural and interior design as well as land planning. Their mission is remarkable spaces that exceed expectations and foster deep connections. Scott will share his experiences and insights on making Archicad models clean, properly detailed, and ready to render for his projects, while Elena will demonstrate some best practices and advanced techniques to help you get the most out of your Archicad models with D5 Render. We encourage you to watch the presentations and ask questions and engage with our speakers at the upcoming live Q&A after the show. This is a great opportunity to learn from the experts and enhance your skills. Without further ado, let's get started. Please join me in welcoming Vicky from D5 Render.
Hi everyone, I'm Vicky and I'm so excited to be here today to represent D5 Render. As the Global Marketing Manager at D5, I've been lucky enough to work with some of the most talented architects, designers, and 3D artists from all over the world. I've also had the privilege of working alongside an incredible team that's passionate about pushing boundaries of what's possible in real-time rendering. I'm here to give you a quick intro to what D5 is all about and how it's making a difference to professionals like you. So what exactly is D5? Well, as one of our clients perfectly put it, think of D5 as a speedy V-Ray and easy DaVinci Resolve and Photoshop with built-in AI all rolled into one. That's pretty spot on. And at its core, D5 is a real-time rendering tool that works seamlessly with design software like Archicad. It's built to make your work easier, faster, and honestly, a lot more fun. What truly speaks to D5's value is the trust we've earned from some of the industry's best. In fact, 8 of the world's 10 largest architecture firms use D5 to streamline their workflows, deliver projects faster, and create more immersive presentations. But it's not just about the big names. D5 is actually trusted by 2 million users worldwide, and we've built a thriving community of 800,000 followers on social media. So to keep up with the needs of our users, we're constantly evolving with at least 3 major updates every year, bringing better tools and solutions each time. Along the way, we've partnered with industry leaders, including Intel and NVIDIA, to explore new possibilities and set new benchmarks for the industry. For example, D5 was the first renderer to support NVIDIA's DLSS4 technology, enabling even faster and more efficient rendering. You might not know that D5 is also the first in the AEC industry to directly integrate AI into its workflow. Right now, we offer 8 advanced AI-powered tools with more on the way. So what does that mean for you? It means no more tedious manual adjustments or switching between apps. With D5, you get to focus on creating your best work. We're proud to say that our hard work hasn't gone unnoticed. D5 has been rated #1 on G2 in multiple categories like ease of use and customer satisfaction. So feedback like this just keeps us motivated to push boundaries and keep delivering better experiences for our users. Now, before we dive into today's client presentation, I want to say thank you to everyone here for your time and attention. Next, you'll hear from Scott and Elena, our talented users who will share their journey of using Archicad and D5 to transform their visualization workflow. So without further ado, let me hand it over to Scott.
So as a project architect at ForumFi, part of my job is making sure our Archicad models are clean, properly detailed, and ready to render before they make it to our visual arts department. I'll walk you through a few things that the architecture department is looking out for before we send our files to Elena and her team. One of the initial things we like to look out for when we're sending a model from Archicad to D5 is where our project is modeled in relation to the project origin. That dark X that you see in this plan view represents Archicad's 0 point. That point is shared between Archicad and D5. We like to make sure that our structural grid, our initial A1 intersection, starts at that project origin point. That's just a good rule of thumb at project setup. In this file, we already have a building designed and modeled the way we want it to. But it's important for you to remember that when you go back and forth between 2D and 3D plan, section, elevation, that you're always checking to make sure geometries are clean and modeled properly, that you don't have any gaps at corners, that walls meet the ceilings where they should, and that you don't have overall bits and pieces overlapping each other. That will save you a lot of headaches in the long run. So just make sure you're regularly flying through your model and looking at it from all angles. So when you feel like you have a good base in your Archicad model and you want to start passing it through to D5 and checking it out in a render, you set up basically a single 3D view that's going to export the geometry visible in that 3D view in Archicad and pass it back over to D5. You don't have to worry about the model being fully complete or totally dialed. The connection between Archicad and D5 makes it really easy to go back and forth. So we kind of set up our D5 model like halfway through schematic design. It varies depending on project. In this case, here's generally what we have for the build. Most of the time, we'd probably just have a handful of walls and a general idea of where we want it to be, and then we would just start rendering. So in this case, I want to set a new 3D view specifically for export. So I'm going to go into the project map and drag a generic perspective into the view map. And I am going to rename it D5 export. So this view is what we'll be using to export our Archicad model into D5 every time. So we want to make sure that this is our active view, and we'll manage the visibility of certain geometries right here so that when we send stuff over to D5, we have the right types of geometries showing and the right types of geometries hidden. If you go into view settings, this is where you'll determine the layer combination, which is really the most important part of passing a model from Archicad to D5. In this case, I already have a D5 export layer combination set up. So I'll activate that layer combination, hit OK, and then hit redefine with current view settings. So now whenever I want to connect back to D5, this is going to be my active 3D view. Just to show you a few more of the layer combinations we have already set up in our model, I can click here and hit Site Only, and this is going to turn off the building and only turn on our site mesh and then a sort of zoning helper tool that we like to model in. We can also take a look at the building only layer combo. So this is if we wanted to turn off the context. And then we have another one that's plans only, and that has a handful of pieces turned off just to help clean up the graphics of our plans. But in this case, we just want to go to D5 export and then manage this specific view once we start to render. Okay, so we've gone through Archicad and prepared our model. Materials are feeding into our composites. We can take a look at how the Archicad model is looking in full color. You can see we've got some stone, metal, wood. The model is looking nice and clean as a base starting point for sending into D5. The first thing we need to do is make sure that we have the D5 Live Sync plugin installed. So if you open up D5, go to the Welcome screen and then click on Workflow. So the Workflow page is where all of the plugins are hosted. We are looking specifically for the Archicad Live Sync plugin. So go down here, hit Download, and once you follow the installation process, you will see a D5 render item at the top of your screen. Hit D5 render, start, and this is going to start that live sync process. D5 will ask you if you'd like to sync a local project from an existing file. In this case, we would just create a new one. And you'll see pretty quickly all of our surfaces and Archicad geometries are going to end up in D5. Quick, seamless, and it will have a really great starting point to work from. I'm going to arrange my windows side by side. You can see when I move in Archicad, the D5 view automatically updates. So if you'd like, you can set initial views in Archicad and use them directly in the renderings. You can also move geometries around. So if I just move this beam up, you'll see it immediately updates in D5. This back and forth between Archicad and D5 is really convenient. You can basically design and render at the same time. And all of this is happening because under D5 render, I have Live Sync turned on. So if for whatever reason I want to do a bunch of modeling in Archicad and then have the updates end up in D5 later on, I can just turn off Live Sync, do the work that I'd like in Archicad, and then turn that Live Sync back on, and you'll see those updates come through. Another really nice feature of this plugin is that you can sync lights directly from Archicad into D5. So if I switch to a floor plan and start dropping in some lights, and then switch back to a 3D view, I can go up to D5 render and hit sync light. And this is going to send all of the lights that I just placed in my Archicad model directly into D5 as D5 lights. This is really powerful. This allows us to work with lighting consultants, interior designers, get a much more accurate depiction on what our design is going to look like because we're incorporating true real-world light data from our BIM model into our rendering program. So this has been a huge boost to our workflow. So geometry, lights, views, and surfaces all sync between Archicad and D5. So if I want, I can use the creative imaging tools in Archicad and go over to Surface Painter, and I can make some real quick baseline edits to materials and see those changes update real time in D5. Most of the time, we'll take these materials from Archicad and use D5's much higher quality materials, but as a baseline way of just getting a sense of how your design is going, this is a really handy feature.
Thanks, Scott. As you can see, everything comes in just as we set it in Archicad. If you need to make any adjustments, the Live Sync feature lets you update that instantly. So now would be a good time to take a final pass at the model. So looking at it now, I see this wall that's extending and it shouldn't be like that. No worries, we go back to Archicad. We clean that up, so now it's joined. We just hit D5, sync model, and we'll see those changes instantly update. So I'm happy with how the model looks, so let's start rendering. We can start by defining the camera. I'll go under display and turn on the grid so I can compose the render accordingly. And then I have field of view, which controls the perspective, and I have the focal length, which controls how long or how shallow the lens is. So now with that, let's start orienting our view. I know I want a view from the kitchen to the fireplace. So now that I have that centered, I will use the field of view to center and zoom in, and also the focal length to get it right between the center grid. And now to save the changes, I will update the scene. Looking at HDRIs, D5 comes with a variety of built-in HDRI templates. You can easily change the day from a cloudy day to a sunny day by a click of a button. Once you found an HDRI template that you like, you can go underneath to the settings and start fine-tuning to get the render just as you'd like. For today's render, we will be using Geo and Sky. I know I have a western-facing property that overlooks the Rocky Mountains. I would love to show a realistic sunset that the house would have. Knowing that in May, the sunset's right around 6:45, and that the house is north set 180 degrees, we start to see the sunset as you would in the property. If you're looking to quickly set up the lighting or overall vibe for your scene, I'd also like to recommend using D5's curated presets. Whether it's an interior or exterior, daytime or sunset, there's definitely a preset here that will work. Super easy to use. You just click once and it will be applied to the scene. Now, one feature I have to mention is D5's AI tools. For example, the AI atmospheric match. Think of it like an AI filter for your 3D scene. All you have to do is upload a reference image, snap the current view, start generating, and go ahead and click apply. Our first reference image was a sunny day with shadows in the foreground. It did a pretty good job at matching that. Now let's try a snowy scene. Snap current view, start generating, and go ahead and click apply. When it's done, you'll notice the environment adjusts automatically, but of course, you can always tweak the settings as necessary. Now that we have the exterior lighting set, we can jump back into our first render and light the interior space accordingly. We have point lights, spotlights, strip lights, and rectangular lights, all serving their own function. Today, we will be using rectangular lights as to not have very prominent light sources. Now that we've added these two lights, we will go ahead and group them. And now at the right panel, we can fine tune our light to be exactly how we want. I want to turn the intensity down, and the color I like to set at 5,550. That gives us just the right amount of warmth. Once we start adding assets such as lights, we can actually turn on the lights within D5. If we go to the material, under material template, custom, and go ahead and scroll down to emissive, we now have illuminated the space around the light, and I'm showing the light on. Now let's get into textures. I want to show you how I took a D5 material and customized it for this house. Under assets, we're going to go to irregular stone and apply to the walls. Now, if we go ahead and hit I, and click on the material, here we see how we can fine-tune it. First thing I'm going to do is scale this up. Let's say about there. And now I want to lighten the stone to have a very worn look. I'm going to edit the texture matte contrast, make the stone a bit brighter, and the saturation turn down a bit. Now I'm having a more worn-in stone look from one of the multiple materials available to us in D5. Now, another thing I wanted to show you is material templates. I want to take glass, basic glass material, and show you just how easy it is and how quickly you can adjust the reflection, transparency, and other properties to get exactly the look you want. D5's glass rendering is one of the best I've seen. You can get the most realistic glass with just a few tweaks. Now that we've added our assets, which are plantings in the yard, I wanted to add some more vegetation around the house. That will include trees. So I will go to the brush, go under favorites, and I will choose the 2 trees I would like to populate the scene with. I will keep the radius small so I have more control, the density on the smaller side because I can always fill in after, and I would like to leave the size where it's at. So I'll go ahead and start populating this scene. We will keep populating until we are happy with how dense the surrounding trees are. Now let's add the grass by using the scatter tool. Under Assets and Scatter, you will see D5's library of different scatter presets for different situations. Today we will be using the lawn landscape, and we'll browse until we find one we like. Meadow 2 looks good. Hit Create. And now we have realistic grass. We can take it one step further by clicking into the grass, and at the right panel, we can now edit and fine-tune the selected content. We can scale the grasses to be as big as we'd like them to be. Probability of occurrence, so how much of each grass is there. And collision volume, how well do they mix together. Now we're ready to export. Exporting images and animations from D5 is incredibly fast. No more waiting around for your renders to be ready. We can export an image or a video. Let's create an animation. By clicking into the video, we see that we need 2 scenes that D5 will seamlessly clip together. I will navigate to my first scene, add current view, and then navigate to my second view and add. I can now edit how long I want this clip to be. So let's say 6 seconds. Then we can test to see how this is going to look. Perfect. And we can now export as needed. And now we'd like to export a still image render. If we hit image, we see a ton of options. Depending on where or how you're presenting, you will need different aspect ratios or preset sizes. Today, we will be using 4K. And then we are ready to render. I will show you the AI enhancer. We'll want to render out an image, and under channels, make sure to click the AI post channel. Now that our render is complete, we will go to the AI post processing. Here's the result. With this slider, you see the before and after. You can really see the textures and the lighting and the shadows.
Thanks everyone for the great presentations. This brings us to the end of the webinar. But before we wrap up, I'd like to remind you that this session has been recorded and you can watch the on-demand videos at your convenience. If you are working on visualization for your projects and are interested in our solutions, scan the QR code at the top to try Archicad. We offer different subscription models for specific needs and workflows. To incorporate D5 render into your visualization workflows and for more information, please scan the QR code at the bottom. We also have dedicated learning and community pages designed to help you enhance your Archicad skills and connect with our users. Our community is strong and supportive, and we'd love for you to join us. If you are interested in learning more about our visualization solutions, the QR codes on the screen will direct you to our Graphisoft Learn and community pages. For D5 render, you can scan the QR code on the right and use the code underneath to get a free 7-day trial of D5. This trial gives you full access of all features, assets, and AI capabilities. Please note that this is a limited time offer for the first participants to claim it. If the code is no longer valid when you try to redeem it, don't worry. You can still download D5 for free. As a new user, simply register an account and complete a short survey to receive 8 days of pro access to help you get started. Thank you very much for your attention and time today. I hope you enjoyed the webinar. Now, let's continue with our live Q&A session.
We prepared a short survey, and we would be delighted if you could answer a question in this survey. And you will see the survey now. Okay, thank you. And here are the results. Thank you very much. And now I will hand over to Scott and Elena from Forum Phi, and they will give us a quick insight into their company.
Go for it.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. We just wanted to take a moment and introduce ourselves, so I will share my screen. I'm Elena, and this is Scott. All right. So, a little bit about us. We are Forum Phi. We are an architecture, interiors, and planning firm based out of Aspen, Colorado, with offices in Carbondale and Denver. We were founded in 2006, and we have 4 partners and about 40 people in our firm. So a pretty good amount of people that we work with, a lot of collaboration, which kind of takes us to our projects. Forum Phi decided to bring the visual arts department in-house about 2 years ago. And one of the reasons were, of course, the renders in itself, but we realize how important our surrounding topography is here in Colorado. We are able to have incredible views of all different mountain ranges, and our clients really want to take advantage of those views. So it's we are replicating real environments. So that really does take an extra level of collaboration from the architecture team, as well as the visual arts department, really honing in on the topography we're working in. One thing that we have taken away from D5 and Graphisoft the last 2 years is how
rendering is not only an external tool for our clients, but it has become integral for our design process. We often will look at multiple renders in-house, changing, perfecting before we send it in or send it out, to clients. And then I wanted to leave you with our Contact Us page. You have our email and our locations. So yeah, with that, we will get back to answering your questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Elena and Scott. And now we'll hand over to Marcel from Graphisoft, and we will start our Q&A. We have a lot of questions.
Yes, we have. Hello and warm welcome everyone in this live Q&A session. I know you were expecting Elish, but duty has unexpectedly called Elish away. So I'm honored to step in his behalf. So I'm Marcel Hilia, product marketing expert here at Graphisoft in Budapest. So the pleasure is mine to host the QA session. We will have approximately 25 minutes for questions, so I'll aim to keep things moving to get through as many as possible. So let's get started. And as I can see, first question could be the one hot topic, which is about how many architects using Archicad work on Mac OS. Are there plans to release a version D5 for Mac? And I'm gonna invite Vicky. Sorry, Vicky, maybe I can't hear you.
Vicky, we can't hear you.
Okay, about now?
Yeah,
Yes.
no, it's correct. Thanks. Go ahead.
Sorry for that. Okay, so Mac is definitely on our agenda because we are aware that many of our cats they're using Mac, but there are some technical issues to address at the moment. So while I do not have an ETA yet, please beware and rest assured that we are working on it.
Great, thank you very much, Vicky. Let's move on to the next one, which is also regarding this first topic. So one question, do you start working on Mac and then on Windows machine? And if yes, how is your specific workflow between the two ecosystem? And now I would like to turn to you, Elena and Scott. Maybe you know something regarding this.
Yeah, I can answer that one. So we host all of our projects on the Graphisoft BIM cloud. So it allows us to work on Macs on our computer. Most of us have a Mac laptop, and that is where we do the majority of our design work. But because we are hosting all of our projects on the BIM cloud, if Elena is on a Windows machine using D5, she can just open up the same project on her Windows machine and everything will work the same. So it's one of the benefits of using Archicad because it works so seamlessly between Mac and Windows.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Okay, here comes another one. Starting with a nice feedback. Hi, Scott. This is an excellent demo. Thank you so much for this presentation. This is very useful for me. One question, what happens if you choose the other option to establish the Archicad D5 connection? Is there any teamwork collaboration option in D5 for teams? So thank you.
And I think, Vicky, you might want to speak a little bit about the teamwork collaboration inside D5.
Yeah, sure. So regarding the Teams collaboration, we do have a Teams version for teams, firms to collaborate. So what Scott and Elena showed was a typical way of working together. But if you are on a team, you're on a tight timeline, and you would want anyone involved on a project to deliver faster, then you can just simply use the D5 for Teams. And then it just allows multiple editors to access the same project at the same time. And at the same time, you can set up a Teams library for the team to share and access projects, assets. So that's a time saver for a lot of firms. A lot of firms are already using it now.
And we do use that here at Forum Fi. It's an awesome feature. We really like it.
Thank you, guys. And also, I think one more question to you, Vicky. Can I use a laptop to use D5 efficiently? Do I need to have an RTX GPU? And if yes, which generation? What about workstations? Thank you.
Okay. So the minimum requirement for a graphics card to run D5 is GTX 1060. And for more details on the specs, you can Google D5 render system requirements to see all the specs we listed there to check if you are able to run it on your machine.
Great. And Vicky, also, how about to handle large projects similar to Archicad? Do I need more than 64 gigabyte RAM?
Regarding VRAM, I would say the more the better, but D5 is built to handle large, complex scenes and projects. We actually have a lot of clients dealing with some of the biggest projects like a urban master plan or an aerial view of a resort. So many of them have switched from other rendering apps and they are impressed with D5 stability. I personally use RTX 3060 and I can navigate and edit most of the scenes I am dealing with smoothly with a decent FPS.
Thank you very much. Let's move on to the next one. In the BIM model, the stone was shown in many places, but he was able to apply a material in D5 just to the two faces, even though they had the same stone texture seen elsewhere. When I do this, the material in D5 is applied to every stone face unless I give each face a material with a different name.
Yeah, so what I was doing there was using the surface painter tool inside Archicad. So that is overriding the specific surface of the wall in Archicad, and you're seeing it live update in D5. It's important to pay attention to the usage of composites in Archicad and how they'll already have a surface applied to them. But if you switch by using the surface painter in Archicad, that's how you can vary which materials are rendering differently inside of D5.
Thank you very much, Scott. And another question to you guys, Elena, Scott, could you explain the options for replacing and applying D5 native material to an Archicad model? Does it apply to singular faces, all faces with the same material surface? Does the D5 remember this every time you close and open the file?
All right, so for replacing and applying D5 native material to an Archicad model. So yeah, we, as the last question asks, whatever the material is in Archicad, in D5, the material will replace every wall. So if you do want to, if there's separate faces that are different material, they need to have different material names in surface names in Archicad. So that is kind of Scott's job of keeping the surfaces organized in Archicad. If that answers it, if you want to add anything.
Yeah, so if you have a stone material and you want to make it look slightly different on different faces within the building, you have to make sure in Archicad you would go in to the surface, find your, let's call it stone 1, duplicate that surface, call it stone 2, and most likely you would use the surface painter to override the stone in specific instances, and that will give Elena access to split the difference between stone 1 and stone 2, so she gets a little bit more creative control.
Great, thank you. Also, I could, in the meantime, I could see a really nice feedback, and his presentation is also excellent. I did not know that it is so easy to use. I'm D5, so thank you very much. Let's move on with another one. Yeah, and an interesting one. Can I use seasons in D5? I recall a feature in another engine where you could switch from summer to winter, and the trees and surroundings reflected immediately the seasonal change. Vicky, what do you think about this question?
Okay. The seasons, it's still under development, but right now it's you can there's a workaround. For example, we have one-click weather switch. So for example, if you are wanting to create a snowy winter scene, then you can just turn on the snow, or we have the AI feature for you to just one click and get the desired atmosphere from an uploaded image. So that just changes the vibe from maybe a summer scene to a winter scene. And you can also adjust the materials, change the trees, but right now it's manually. But I believe in the near future, it will be just within a few clicks in D5.
Thank you. Let's move with the next one. When you link your file to DS, do you model your Archicad walls as single components or composite walls?
We always use composites. The composites will have different building materials applied within the composite, and as long as the outward facing one has the surface applied to it that you want to render, then there's no reason to not take advantage of the composite feature within Archicad.
Thank you. And another question to you, Elena and Scott. How was your transition to work with Archicad and D5? I'm currently moving from one outdated software to this one, and it's been challenging but rewarding.
Do you want to talk about that? I mean,
how we now kind of integrating with D5 and Graphisoft. Yeah, so for the last year and a half, we've been working from a Teams file and using establishing our workflow from Graphisoft to D5, as you saw earlier. I think the biggest change we saw internally when we started to get speed was using the teamwork file, the BIM cloud from Archicad. That is the quickest way for me to get the changes that are shown in the modeling. And also the design options within Archicad have really been able to expedite options for our clients. So if they are choosing between stone or wood, we can easily kind of go back and forth and show them that in real time instead of, you know, having to save as and do some other work and then miss some new changes that are coming in. We are working at light speed, as I'm sure we all know. It's always iterating upon. So I think between design options and the teamwork files and also the D5 render teamwork, and it's also a great quality control to make sure internally everything is organized as you keep your files. It's as quickly as you can move. So yeah, the video you just saw was how we have integrated. So yeah, the teamwork files on both ends and design options. And as we've noted earlier, keeping the materials and surfaces as clean and exact as possible.
Great, thank you. And also like to turn to you back with another question. Thanks for the presentation. What is the method of importing context and texture terrain into D5? Would be great if you could detail a bit this workflow.
Well, I know D5 is working on the terrain tool. So finding the maps that, digging into the new terrain tool is going to be paramount for the surrounding context. There is topography maps that you are able to import directly into D5. And that's something we are actively working on within. So the terrain tool is a good tool to keep your eyes on.
Thank you so much. And I'm checking all the questions here and try to pick up another one. For Scott, can you show something from your portfolio or something if you've worked with D5?
Yeah, so our website has some of Elena's latest renders. Yeah, she'll pull it up right now.
Yeah, just kind of seeing. So yeah, this is a project Scott is also working on that we are actively have been able to integrate lighting, HVAC, landscape plans are to the landscape designer plans. We've sourced everything to really be exactly the white is the Olympus white, just, and this project is actively being built and is close to being finished. So we have all the information from all of our consultants that we are able to integrate to really give a realistic view. As I said, it is as important of an external tool as an internal tool for us to sign off for our consultants. I think it's super important to remember both sides of that value.
Yeah, it's cool that sometimes we have the full suite of information, so Elena can really render what is accurately going to be constructed if we're working from landscape plans. And on the flip side, having all the flexibility of the D5 scatters and presets and stuff allows us to jump in early in schematic design and still give a sort of fleshed out, finished look if we're still seeking that information.
Yeah.
Great, thank you guys. Thank you very much. Let's move with another one. Vicky, how easy it's to import new textures? Does it use the same textures as most other rendering software?
I would say the process is, could be similar to your previous workflow, and we have the PBR material system, so it's super realistic. So inside D5, there is a library of thousands of materials that you can just grab and apply to your objects. And you can also sync the material right from your modeling tool, for example, Archicad. And in D5, I would say we've made it so much easier to deal with the materials textures because we have got the help of AI. So for example, if you have a base map, then you can just let AI do the work for you to generate some other maps for you. And also other cool features related to materials and AI, for example, AI makes seamless. So there's a lot to discover, and you can just open your D5 and have a try yourself.
Great, thank you. Thank you so much. Next question could be yours. It belongs to you, Elena Scott. So it sounds like if you have your file in BIM Cloud as a team workflow, then you just need one PC to run D5 and PC license for this computer.
That's correct. That's all you need. So your whole firm can be on Mac OS, and then one person with a Windows computer, if they're your visual artist. Once you get a teamwork license, then that's really all you need.
Great, thank you. Is there an option to make it free like Twinmotion? Vicky, I think you can answer this question.
We actually already have a free version of D5 that many of our users are happy with. So to access more, you might need a pro license, but if you're a student or a teacher or tutor, you can apply for the educational license. And we constantly hold different events in which we would give away some codes as a gift. For example, today we're giving away some codes for everyone to enjoy more of D5.
Great, thank you. Try to find and pick up another question. For Vicky, is there any place where we can give feedback to D5 or request features?
Yeah, sure. We are actually known for a team that really listens to the community. So you can always throw your ideas, thoughts, feedback to our forum or on Discord or on Facebook. So wherever you see the team, you can just let us know.
Thank you very much. Now I'm turning to you guys, Alina, Scott. Is it possible to match material colors to actual paint colors from brands like Benjamin Moore?
Yeah, so as I mentioned in the West End Conservatory, that was a study. We really honed in on different shades of white. So as I mentioned, we chose the Olympus, and I was able to get as close as possible by using the hex code from the paint manufacturer themselves, and that will get you the right color. So a white base and then the hex code on top. That's how I've achieved the realistic look.
Great, thank you so much. Let's move to the next question. How is D5's support for desert assets, for example, for projects in Arizona, especially vegetation?
Okay, let me answer this. We already have a large library consisting of vegetation coming from nearly all the regions around the world, and we are constantly updating it with different asset collections. And right now you can find some desert plants inside D5, but there is going to be more. If they have like specific if they have specific needs for a certain type of plant or a model, they can just send us the name and the picture, for example, on our form, and our team will get to it and work on it.
Thank you very much. I'm still hunting for questions, but apparently maybe we got another one. How you mentioned we can participate in a 1-year free pro license. How can we apply for that?
I don't think I mentioned the 1 year. It's usually like a week or a month. So today at the end of the presentation, there was a code to redeem that, but it's limited. It's a first come, first claim rule. But please stay tuned for more events to come. I believe you'll have the chance to win it.
Great, thank you very much. Actually, we still have a couple of minutes, so if you have any questions, feel free to ask using the questions tab. Meanwhile, I'm checking also the chat if I missed a question.
These are good questions.
Yes, Elena, did you find something? Yep.
Yeah, I think there's one that for Forum Fi, what's your favorite feature that D5 has and other render engines does not? I really think it's the presets and the ability to customize your presets. So as we mentioned in prior models, you know, you would have to redo the lighting. I have never worked with a render program that I'm able to save light formations, time of day, brushes. Now our team is growing and we are hiring, and now I have made a outline of the presets I approve of, and now people can just click into the scatter, use the grass for the mountain versus the city, and we're able to kind of fine tune our style really quickly, which I appreciate. And also the new AI feature of the seamless texture makes really quick renderings much easier.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. And as I think that's all the time we have for the questions today. So thank you very much for this valid and really great questions, and also everyone, to the presenters, for sharing your insights. And of course, thank you everyone for joining us. And we are already preparing the next webinar, so we hope to see you again soon. So thank you and have a fantastic rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.